Okay, so let's start with some really nice chest openers. We're gonna use a foam roller. If you don't have a foam roller, just take a bath towel, roll it up, and that's gonna go between your shoulder blades. If you have the roller, we're just gonna lay right down on it, head and bum supported. And then you're gonna just push the forearms, the palms, right down into the mat, draw the shoulders back, try and actively squeeze between the shoulder blades to open the front of the shoulders before we start. And then we're gonna take arms out at shoulder level, palms up. You're trying to press as much of the back of the hand and the forearm down into the ground as you can to make it a little bit more active. And that should help open up the chest and even into the biceps. Then we're gonna flip and do the same with palms facing down. So pushing the whole palm, forearm down into the ground. That's gonna take it more into the biceps. Each position we're gonna hold at least 30 seconds, even longer if you can. And then we're gonna take arms up overhead and you just let them rest wherever they wanna fall. Again, holding 30 seconds, you can go a minute. It just depends on your comfort and whether or not you're starting to get tingly in the fingers, which can happen with these. So just work within your tolerance to start. So the next one that we're gonna look at is more a mid-back mobilization while we've got the towel roll. If you have the foam roller, you can do this with the foam roller, but it tends to be a little nicer with something a little softer. So my hands are extended out, as you can see, about at shoulder level, maybe slightly above. And then we're just gonna take the knees to the side. We're gonna go to each side. Again, I would hold 30 seconds, and you can do this 3 to 5 reps. And just holding within your comfort level. This will help to mobilize the mid-back, which can be very stiff and create problems for the shoulder. So now working again a little bit more into the upper back. This is more of an active strengthening stretch. So we're gonna do baby cobra, but we're gonna make it a little bit more active. So my elbows are under my shoulders. My forearms are lined up with my elbows, palms pressing down. And then I'm actively trying to push my belly down into the mat as I draw my shoulders back towards my bum. And my chin is forward. I'm not looking up, but I'm trying to stay elongated through the front of the body. And again, holding, this one I would hold maybe 20 to 30 seconds, then just relax, but stay in the position, and then engage the upper back to push the belly down and do 3 to 5 reps. Then working a little bit more into strengthening. So hands are folded under the forehead, lifting the arms and head together up only as far as you can from the upper body. So it's not a low back extension. So belly stays on the mat. This we're gonna aim for 8 to 10 reps. And then again, we're gonna work some of those upper back shoulder blade muscles. So this is for lower traps. So you've got your hand under your forehead to support you in a neutral position. The other arm is outstretched, thumbs pointing up. We're just trying to lift that arm as high as it will go off the mat without moving any other part of the body. So the trunk stays pressed into the mat. We're not lifting through the neck. So as you can see on the other side, everything else stays neutral in my body. The only thing that I'm moving is that arm. And you're really focusing on drawing that shoulder blade down the back as you lift the arm to engage lower traps. The next one is more of a yoga position, but it's really good for helping with thoracic mobility, which can be a real problem. And the lower arm actually gets a little bit of a nerve glide or a nerve stretch. So we're going to start with the arm along the inside of the same leg, rotating up, and then we're going to do the opposite. So you're going to do both directions. And to make it more of a hip flexor stretch, really try and draw that back knee as far back as you comfortably can, then you get a little bit more benefit out of the whole exercise. So here's from the other side. Arm is just to the inside of the same leg, and I'm reaching up, looking up to that top hand, rotating as much as I can, taking it down and then up onto the other side. 5 to 8 reps each side. Moving on to strengthening with the ball. If you have a ball, this is really useful for shoulder and upper back. So we're going to use a TheraBand if you have one. It just goes between the wrists, and I'm just generating a little bit of outward pressure, not a ton, and then it's basically the same movement as we did on the mat, trying to raise the arms without moving the trunk and without moving the low back, really trying to draw the shoulder blades down. And if we have a weight, next exercise is basically doing a rear fly on the ball, We're going to do one arm at a time to work the core a little bit more, so make sure that you feel stable and you're not wobbling on the ball. Really trying to control the trunk, keep it stable as you bring that arm out by squeezing the shoulder blade. 8 to 10 reps. Next one is what I call the butterfly, because it's a slow motion butterfly motion that we would do in swimming, for example. So I start with my palms facing either together or even up, rotating them to bring them in. And you're trying to float those arms as high up as you can without moving through the trunk and the lower back. Now we're going to move into a bicep stretch. So sitting on the floor, legs outstretched, point your fingertips into your bum, straighten your elbows, and lean back into the heels of your hands. Try and look up. If you try and spin the upper arm outwards a little bit, you'll really get a full bicep stretch. This one can be really effective. And then I would come out of that after about 20 to 30 seconds, do a forward fold, and go right back into the stretch. So maybe 3 to 5 reps of that, depending on how tight you feel. If you do subsequent stretches, you'll get a little bit more effect with each repetition. So it's always ideal to do at least 2 to 3 reps of the stretches. The last one I'm going to show you is a self-release or self-mobilization for the pecs. So you're going to take a tennis ball, you're going to put it in the little crook of the shoulder. You'll feel there's a tender point just inside that shoulder, and you're going to lay on it. So I'm going to outstretch my hand, I'm going to turn my head the opposite way, and my forehead is just going to rest on my opposite hand. And I'm just going to rest here and hold this position. So this one, you want to feel that tennis ball hitting that trigger point. If it's not quite in the right spot, you can move the arm up and down a little bit or reposition the ball, because most of us are sensitive on that point, even if we're not dealing with a lot of restriction. So it should feel like you've got pressure on that ball. If you don't, if you feel like you need a little bit more, take your towel roll and put the tennis ball on top of it, just so it gives you a little bit more of a boost. Tennis ball is still in the same position, and we're just going to rest here. This one you want to hold a little bit longer. You want to go 3 to 5 minutes, even if you can, unless the hand is getting tingly. Then pull it in, take a break.